Hello, fifth grade. This is Mrs. Anderson again, and today we're going to read the story Global Warming. It's another expository text, which is nonfiction, so this is all true. And our essential question for the week was, what changes in the environment affect living things? So we're going to read about how a change in climate can affect living things. So as we read, I want you to think about asking and answering yourself questions to help you understand. Maybe as you are reading and listening to this story, you have a paper and pencil out so you could write down questions you think might be test questions, because there's going to be a little quiz about this story as well as the vocabulary on Friday. And also we're going to be comparing and contrasting using a Venn diagram, and we're going to take notes, and I'm going to go over the notes with you as we read, and then you're going to get a copy of the notes as a PDF form so that you have them as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Thousands of years ago, large parts of the land mass on Earth were covered by ice. Since then, Earth has been getting warmer. In recent decades, the rise in average temperature has been particularly rapid. Global warming is a term that has been used to describe these changes. Weather and climate are different. Weather is what happens every day. Climate is the average weather over a period of years. For example, it's possible that the weather on any day might be cool, but the average weather for the climate is getting warmer. Why is the climate changing? Could Earth be getting warmer by itself? Are people doing things that make the climate warmer? What will the impact of global warming? Can we do anything about it? Global warming is happening because of the greenhouse effect. A greenhouse is a house made of glass. The glass lets in sunlight but keeps warm air from escaping. Earth is not a greenhouse, but certain gases in the atmosphere act like the glass in a greenhouse. Sunlight passes through Earth's atmosphere and warms the ground. Some of the heat bounces back into space, but much of it remains trapped near the ground by carbon dioxide, water vapor, and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. The greenhouse effect helps make Earth warm enough for life to exist. But if greenhouse gases are released into the atmosphere in larger amounts much faster than before, then the warming will get much stronger and the climate will noticeably change. In 2007, a report by 2,500 scientists from 130 countries concluded that humans are responsible for much of the current warming. No one person causes global warming, but there are billions of people on Earth. We cut down huge numbers of trees, drive hundreds of millions of cars and trucks, and burn vast amounts of coal and oil. All these activities contribute to a huge increase in greenhouse gases. Even if we decrease the amount of gases we now produce, it would not immediately stop the warming because greenhouse gases stay in the atmosphere for years. The Earth's climate is very complex, and many factors play important roles in determining how the climate changes. Natural variations in Earth's orbit around the sun change the amount of sunlight we receive and thus the temperature. Earth has had much warmer and much colder climates in the distant past. So, in this section, we're comparing how Earth's atmosphere is similar to a greenhouse and how it is different. So, in our Venn diagram, we're comparing two different things. So we're comparing a greenhouse to the Earth's atmosphere. And so the differences go on the outside and the similarities go on the inside. So what's similar between a greenhouse and an Earth atmosphere is that they both trap heat. However, a greenhouse traps heat with glass, and the Earth's atmosphere traps heat with gases and water vapor. So that is our first section of notes. Most scientists agree that something different is happening now. While Earth's climate has always varied, it is now changing more rapidly than in any other time in recent centuries. Since we have been keeping weather records, 19 of the 20 hottest years ever have happened since 1980. For thousands of years, the balance of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere had not changed much. But now we burn huge amounts of coal, oil, and natural gases to generate energy. Every year, billions of tons of carbon dioxide pour out from the exhaust of cars, trains, trucks, airplanes, buses, and ships. and from the chimneys of factories. There is 30% more carbon dioxide in the air than there was 150 years ago. Trees, like other green plants, convert carbon dioxide into oxygen. But trees and forests are cut down in huge numbers. When the wood burns or decays, even more carbon dioxide is released. Carbon dioxide enters into the atmosphere much faster than the remaining forests and the oceans can absorb it. The release of other greenhouse gases adds to the speed at which the world's climate is changing. Methane is released by millions and millions of cattle and other farm animals. Nitrous oxide comes from chemicals used in soil fertilizers as well as from automobiles. So the next thing that we're going to change, the next thing we're comparing is the atmosphere, how it's today versus how it's been thousands of years before today. So, just like before, using the Venn diagram, the differences go on the outside and the similarities go on the inside. So, the atmosphere has always released greenhouse gases. That's the same for the atmosphere now and the atmosphere for the last thousands of years before. However, what's different is that the atmosphere for thousands of years has had minimal changes in the greenhouse gases. And now there's 30% more carbon dioxide that's released into the air. So that is the differences between the atmosphere from thousands of years ago to now. Okay, so we're going to stop and check. So we're asking and answering questions, and this is a strategy that you could use to help you understand and comprehend more. So according to the author, why has the atmosphere changed? So the atmosphere changed because people burn large amounts of coal, oil, and natural gas, heavily use of transportation, and they cut down trees. This leads to more carbon dioxide in the air. So you see that right here in the text, we burn huge amounts of oil. They have billions of tons of carbon dioxide from all of these transportation vehicles. And so now there's 30% more carbon dioxide in the air than there was 150 years ago. Okay, moving on. The Arctic is already showing the effects of global warming. Average temperatures in the northern regions of Alaska, Canada, and Russia have risen twice as fast as in the rest of the world. The Ward Hunt ice shelf, the largest single sheet of ice in the Arctic, started to crack in 2000. By 2002, it had split. Now it is breaking into smaller pieces. The Arctic Ocean is the great body of sea ice that covers the North Pole. Satellite photographs show that the ice pack has been shrinking and thinning in depth since the early 1990s. Scientists say that for the first time in human history, ice may disappear from the Arctic Ocean every summer. Global warming has also changed the feeding patterns and behaviors of polar bears, walruses, seals, and whales. It may even impact their survival. Polar bears live only in the Arctic. They are completely dependent on the sea ice for all of their life needs. In the winter, females give birth to cubs. The mother polar bear eats little or no food during the winter. As spring approaches, the bear family makes a run onto the sea ice to feed on seals, their main source of food. If the ice melts, their food supply will be cut off, and this will impact their survival. Glaciers and mountain snow cover Glaciers and mountain snow covers are rapidly melting. Almost every glacier in Alaska is receding. A few decades ago, huge rivers of ice stretched over the land. Now, hundreds of feet or sometimes miles of bare rock and soil are exposed. In 1963, the Mendenhall Glacier Visitor Center in Guano, I think I'm saying that wrong, opened very close to the glacier. Today, it is a mile or more away from the frozen edge of the retreating glacier. In the 1850s, there were 150 glaciers in Montana. By 1968, there were 37. In 2008, there were fewer than 24. Glaciers that have lasted for thousands of years may be gone in 2 decades. The icy coverings of tall mountain peaks are also disappearing. Each year, there is less snow remaining on the mountains during the summer. The snow melts earlier by a week or more in spring, and snow falls later by a week or more in the autumn. Okay, so comparing Alaska decades ago to Alaska now. So they both have snow and glaciers. That's still the same, so that's how they're similar. However, Alaska decades ago had rivers of ice and their glaciers were not melting. And now Alaska has rock and soil exposed and the glaciers are receding. So that means they're going away. And so we see the pictures here. So this is the glaciers in 1957. So you can see all of this ice and the waterfall and all of this ice here. See how high it is? And now 2004, which is even 16 years ago. So this is probably even worse now, but it used to be up here. And now it's all coming apart and you see it's not even ice, it's like liquid. So it's getting warmer. As temperatures rise, the level of oceans will rise. A recent study found that if average temperature rise by 3 degrees Celsius, which is 5.4 degrees Fahrenheit, Greenland's enormous ice sheet will begin to melt and sea levels all over the world may rise by a half a foot to 3 feet or more. This may happen over years or decades or may take longer than a century. A 3-foot rise in sea level would swamp the Gulf Coast and every East Coast city from Boston to Miami. Rising water would cover low-lying areas such as the Nile Delta and countries such as Bangladesh. Millions of people would be forced to move. The Arctic ice cap holds about 90% of the world's ice and about 70% of its fresh water. It does not look as if the entire ice cap will melt anytime soon, but if it does happen, sea levels would rise 20 or more feet. Now that would cause major flooding in coastal areas. Atmospheric warming can cause a rise in ocean temperatures and place coral reefs in jeopardy. Coral reefs are huge branching structures made of the limestone skeletons of tiny animals called coral polyps. Coral reefs are found in warm, clear, shallow oceans. They are home to many kinds of fishes, jellyfish, anemones, crabs, turtles, sea snakes, clams, and octopuses, and the algae that give the reefs their stunning colors. Most coral reefs are highly sensitive. Even small changes in water temperature and in the amount of carbon dioxide in the water can kill algae in a reef. When the coral dies, it bleaches white. In 1998, a weather pattern called El Niño warmed the seas. In just 1 year, about 1 in every 6 of the world's reefs was lost. If coral reefs die, then much of the animal life they support will be wiped out as well. Changing climate affects every ocean and every continent. Rising temperatures add heat, energy, and water vapor to the atmosphere. That can lead to heavier rainfalls and more powerful storms in some places, and long droughts in others. The changes will differ depending upon the location. Many tropical areas may have greater rainfall, but in dry regions, even less rain may fall. Higher temperatures will cause the soil to dry up and terrible droughts may ensue. So, as you can see here, this is what a regular coral reef looks like, and then when it dies, it's bleached white. Wildfires may increase in forested areas and timberlands grow drier. The fires are likely to be bigger and more frequent and to burn longer. They would also release more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and could lead to more warming. Climate changes are not easy to notice as changes in weather. For example, a particular storm or a number of warm days during the winter is not really evidence of anything. We can all see day-to-day weather changes, but climate changes are noticeable as well. Plants and animals are already showing the effects of Earth's warming. Cold places such as the North and South Poles and mountaintops have been the first to feel the heat. Spring has come earlier, the ice has melted sooner, and there are fewer days where the temperatures are below freezing. Many kinds of wildlife need the cold to survive. Some animals have adapted to the warmer weather by migrating to colder places. As the climate has warmed over the past century, the colorful checker spot butterfly of the American West has moved northward or to higher elevations. The checker spot butterfly has almost completely disappeared from its original home in Mexico and has adjusted to its new northern home in Canada. But not every animal can travel as easily. Scientists worry that crowding on mountaintops and colder places will cause some species to become extinct.